What about endings? I think sometimes that's something that people don't plan very well. And we talked a bit earlier about, dependency, and sometimes you get that situation where a counsellor will suddenly say to a client, right, well, I think we need to end next week. And then there's also the other side when clients stop coming, and what, and I think that's something that's important to look at. Why did they do that? Was it because they felt there was never going to be an end unless they took it into their own hands?
Well, a lot of that links back to the earlier stuff about contracting in the start. That if you've got, as a counsellor, if you've got your 6-session model in your head, and you haven't communicated that to the client,
exactly.
You may well be thinking, this is session 5, this is session 6, this is going to be their last session. If you haven't communicated that to the client, it's very, very unfair. So it's something about how you're contracting at the beginning, but even with the best contracting, clients end unexpectedly. I mean, there's sometimes a bit of a tradition that even with a planned ending, some people will not come for that last ending, and there's reasons why they won't do that.
That's about the attachment styles and all of that we know. And I guess that's something that it's important to take to supervision, and I think it's something to be important to keep in mind as a supervisor about whether that's happening a lot in a counsellor's work.
Yes, because the supervisor can look across the caseload rather than getting into the individual stories. It's looking across and
is this
noticing
a theme?
that.
Is this something about how they're contracting with people? Is this something about the relationships they're building with clients?
Yeah, and I noticed that with counsellors' attachment style as well. That depending on their attachment style, they may absolutely be fine with clients only coming 2 or 3 or 4 times, and then there's other counsellors with a different attachment style who actually will think that really you need to be working with people for several months and will be really bothered about somebody ending before. So it's being able to maybe explore that in supervision. I suppose the thing for us as well is that in couple work we may well have one person wanting an ending and another person not.
Yes, and that's that thing about the expectation of, well, we're not everything isn't absolutely 100%, so we need to keep coming. And I think also some clients, while they're coming to relate, don't have to make a decision because they're coming to relate and they're doing something. The other side of that is often when we're working contract work, which we know happens more and often has a certain amount of structure, and it can easily be that the counsellor thinks that the client knows that because they were referred by that agency, and they might not.
No.
They need to be clear about that, don't they?
And some people may worry about the sort of idea that if you're ending when work still feels very active, but you have to because of the contract, that actually they're abandoning their clients or whatever. But there's so much that we could be thinking about in terms of resourcing and signposting, so that the counsellor is equipped with that information, so that they're not on the spot, so they're able to kind of bridge people into other sources of support.
And I guess there's something there about it may be that the work could benefit from going on longer, but it's not going to happen. With some contracts there are extensions, but if that isn't going to be the case, then it is about trying to bring that into the room and look at what is good enough. What have we done in the 6 weeks we've had, and what might you as clients be able to resource outside of this, rather than just suddenly ending and that's it. So that it's a bridging on process.
And that links back again to the initial contracting, doesn't it? Because, a couple coming with multiple complex problems that have gone on for 50 years and they can only have 4 sessions within a particular contract, then actually that expectation management that you could be doing early on about what can we actually do,
and looking at the
hierarchy
4 hours of what is the most important thing to look at. And actually we do know that sometimes it can seem like there's 20 things to look at, but 2 of them may actually then have a knock-on effect. It's a bit like that sort of dominoes tipping over, isn't it? And so, looking at what people want to address and what is going to be useful to do in that time.
And often if you're winding down to the end of work, if you've only got 1 or 2 sessions, then actually potentially you've got a luxury of a planned ending, in that you are helping prepare those people to carry on their relationship without coming to relate, and that can be really
important. And what are they
going
to do instead? I mean, I think that can be quite useful, can't it? You have come here for an hour a week and you have spent that time together. Can you model that outside? Can you make sure you have an hour together? Because we do know that actually the time spent in the room is really important, because it's often the only time couples spend really talking and communicating.